In our devotional thought today from Leviticus chapter 19, there are so many great principles. And I know when you read Leviticus, it's really easy to go, nah, nah, nah. But if you slow down and you read it verse by verse, there are some real gems there. For instance, in verses 33 and 34, he said, "Do not take advantage of foreigners who live among you in the land. Treat them like native-born Israelites, and love them as you love yourself. Remember, you were once foreigners living in the land of Egypt." In other words, the principle, never forget what you came from. You know, when you've come out of poverty, you never want to take advantage of the poor. When you've been broken by financial crisis, you never want to look down your nose or hurt somebody who's in financial crisis. You've been there, you've done that. You never forget where you've come from. But I want you to see another principle today, and I want to focus on this one in verses 9 and 10. And again, you could blow right by it and miss a great principle of life. He says, "When you harvest the crops of your land, do not harvest the grain along the edges of the fields, and do not pick up what the harvesters drop. In the same way with your grape crop, do not strip every last bunch of grapes from the vines, and do not pick up the grapes that fall to the ground. Leave them for the poor and the foreigners among you. I am the Lord your God." Now, you look at that and you go, is God teaching us to be a bad steward? Is God teaching us to be inefficient? Is God teaching us to be wasteful? No. He's teaching us to be generous with the poor. Now, I want you to notice some principles about helping the poor here. Number one, they were to help the poor in harvest season. They weren't just to do it sporadically. They were to do it in harvest season, because that's when there's abundance. And secondly, they were to help the poor, not by doing all the work and then just giving it to them. They were to help the poor by not harvesting their fields right to the edge, and if their workers dropped something, they were to leave it where it dropped. When they picked the grapevines, they were not to pick every bunch of grapes, and if something fell, they were not to pick it up. Now, the principles we learn from this: we don't help the poor by doing everything for them. Now, you and I, we've come out of poverty. We understand that. When you do everything for people, you take away their dignity. You create a dependent attitude in their lives. You create an entitlement attitude in their lives. And you create an attitude of superiority in your own life. You don't help the poor by doing everything for them. You help the poor by giving them an opportunity to work, by giving them an opportunity to exert some effort to take care of themselves. See, that's the way God created man. He created man to work. The best way to help the poor is to give them an opportunity to do something and to earn and take care of themselves. Do you remember this whole passage here is illustrated by Ruth, Naomi, and Boaz. When Ruth and Naomi came back to the land of Israel, they were in poverty. And Naomi taught Ruth, this is how the poor people in Israel are treated. Now, if you go out into the field behind the harvesters, they're not gonna harvest right to the edge, and you can pick up the things that fell behind. Boaz, when he saw what was happening, told the guys to drop some extra stuff for them. But Ruth went out and she worked long days in the fields. She had an opportunity to earn, even though it wasn't her land. Now, my friends, as the nation continues to prosper, and we will prosper as a nation, as the nation continues to prosper, we have to understand we will never help the poor by just giving everything to them. We will help the poor by giving them an opportunity to do things. One of the things that I've been so encouraged about by the workers in Aroma is that so many of the workers in Aroma now are people that have lived in Aroma and have gotten born again. And it's amazing how they want to help, how they want to do things too. When you let a person have the dignity of not being dependent on you, it lifts their head. Learn the right way to help the poor.